Hey everyone, CWD Music here. I am CWD, and this is going to be another addition to the weekly album roundup, where pretty much I go through a good chunk of albums that I've listened to that came out last Friday, and I'm going to be giving my brief opinions about these certain albums in particular. On that note, let's get the show on the road. This kind of sounds like a lot of melodic hardcore that has already existed. It just sounds like Rise Against sounding like Rise Against and maybe a few other punk bands that have existed before. This was okay, I just wasn't that interested in it. I liked this thing to a certain degree. I didn't love it, but there was definitely quite a bit of vibrant and danceable nature to what Phoenix was making with this album, and I definitely applauded them with that. It's got a nice little French house vibe to it to a certain degree. It still has a sort of rock edge to it that I think I enjoyed when I caught their set at Shaky Knees a month ago. So if you are a Phoenix fan, you definitely should check this out. If you're a fan of this kind of danceable and upbeat rock music and to a certain extent house music, then definitely check this out. You'll get something out of it. I definitely dug this album. It definitely was particularly solid. SZA came through with a very interesting and lyrically provocative record here. The features were really good. I definitely dug Kendrick, for sure. I dug Kendrick on this album. And Travis Scott was cool too. If you are a alternative R&B person, if you are a neo-soul person, then check this album out. You'll definitely dig this. I got a lot of Solange vibes with this record, but it still has its own uniqueness to it, and you should definitely try this album out. Oh man, I'm eerily reminded that Chuck Berry is no longer making music. And this album, it's good. I mean, it's not exactly like great or anything. It's Chuck Berry doing Chuck Berry. And if you are a hardcore Chuck Berry completist, then definitely give this a try. Yeah, I'm eerily reminded that this man is not going to be making music anymore. It's pretty much just covers, you know? It definitely sounded like what I was researching for this album. He decided to take this period of time as he realizes that Alzheimer's is going to grip him, and he decided to go ahead and do these covers, and they sound pretty cool and they sound pretty okay. And if you are a Glen Campbell completist, then you'll definitely want to give this a try. I'm a Billy Woods fan. I definitely dig what Billy Woods does. I like Today I Wrote Nothing a lot when I heard it. I still bump that album to a certain degree. I like the conceptual nature of that record. This record feels a lot more focused and a lot more fleshed out in a way, which you'd think I dig that a lot more than the album previous to it, given the fact that it was apparent Billy Woods was going through some kind of spell of writer's block to a certain degree. But here, for some reason, I'm just not that into it. I mean, I like this album quite a bit. It's just that I feel like it might be a little bloated to a certain degree. The production is good. Billy Woods is still bringing his A game here. He can still rap in his own unique style. He can still string together a lot of great bars and all that. But there's just something about the length, and there's something about the lack of concept to this record that I just can't shake. But I still wholeheartedly recommend you try this record out if you're a hip-hop guy, if you like underground rap, if you're trying to figure out what's going on with underground rap right now. I don't know what this album is. I mean, I get that it's probably some kind of hip-hop, but when it does trap rap some moments and grime some other moments, it's also doing these weird soulful moments and these weird grunge moments or something like that. It's just like a mishmash of all these other sounds, and it ends up sounding pleasantly polarizing pretty much. I mean, if you are looking for an album that's pretty much all over the place, if you're looking for an album that isn't going to stick to one style. If you're someone that believes that an album sticking to one style is one-sided and therefore not that great, then definitely give this a try. This is probably up your alley. This is the sophomore record of this latest indie rock, indie folk band, and this was pretty okay. I didn't really love it at all. I didn't really think it was great. I get that they're trying to go for like a subtle, kind of sort of lo-fi Elliott Smith thing, but I just wasn't that terribly into it. There were some moments that their vocalist sounded like a little bit of Stevie Nicks, and there's even one song where I feel like she was trying to channel her inner Joanna Newsom, and it just wasn't that compelling to me. For sure there was 2 or 3 songs I thought were really cool, but as an album, yeah, this didn't really do that much for me. I did not want to listen to this thing. I didn't want to listen to it. I didn't want to listen to it. And now that I heard it, I realized why I didn't want to listen to it at all. You can't claim to be woke, be making the same kind of music you've been making for the longest time, or at least hopping on to the latest trends that have been happening. You don't get to do that. You don't get to try to claim to be woke. You don't get to try to be aware of the world at large and still be making this kind of pop music. The features didn't even work all that well either. Skip Marley sounded throwaway. Nicki Minaj sounded like Nicki Minaj. And Migos, I like Migos, I just didn't like Migos on this record. It just felt like the features were just there for some kind of cred or something. And this album is an hour long. I have no patience for a Katy Perry album that's an hour long that's not doing anything remotely interesting. I applaud the ambition of this album. I applaud the conceptual nature to it, and I definitely like Sufjan Stevens as a songwriter, as an instrumentalist, and as a vocalist, but I just felt like that this album was bloated to a certain degree. I mean, there's a song called Earth that's 14 minutes long, and it really didn't need to be. It had a lot of promise the first 4 or 5 tracks, but after that it just fell off for some reason. I just felt like that if you're gonna be making an album based on the solar system, then you need to find ways to link what you're talking about with the song title or with the instrumentals and make it more potent to a certain degree, because making a song called Black Energy that's just ambient or some kind of dark ambient is just too obvious and not that compelling, unfortunately. I don't doubt these songwriters and these musicians' skill at making an album that's conceptually about space, but if you're going to be doing that, then I would recommend getting like 1 or 2 other people that have been making music about space for the longest time to like aid in this really ambitious endeavor. But if you are familiar with any of these 4 musicians and you like what they do, especially if you're a big Sufjan Stevens guy, then definitely check this out. You'll probably dig this a lot more than I did. So those were the albums that came out this past week that I listened to. What did you think of any of these? Did you like any of them? Did you dislike any of them? What were some albums this past week that I missed that maybe I should check out, and what did you think of those? This is CWD Music here, signing off.